What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rob. I like to play games, and welcome to, well, something new. We are going to be doing a Commander Corner. What this is going to be is a brief little video on a deck I've been working on, something from either a new set or maybe a deck that I have in my arsenal that I've been enjoying and care to share. So with that, let's do our first Commander Corner, shall we? So I'm going to switch this over. And here you will see a simple layout of what we are working on. So what are we working on? Well, we are working on a Simic deck based around Mikey and Don, Party Planners. Now this is a new card from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. One that I've actually had a decent amount of enjoyment playing around with and built something up with it. Now, what does Mikey and Don do? Well, you'll see that they are a 4 mana, 2 of anything, and then 2 green-blue hybrid for a 3/3 legendary creature, so that is why they are Commander. Ward 2, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast mutant, ninjas, or turtles spells from the top of your library. If you cast a creature spell this way, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So what we're doing with this is we are more or less doing a mutant tribal style deck that uses +1/+1 counters as well as top deck manipulation. Now, there's a lot of ways you can go with this deck. This was kind of the way that I felt the most enjoyment out of, the way that I more or less had the most fun with it. So let's go over some of the key cards and stuff like that in this deck. So Hardened Scales, big one for any +1/+1 counter deck. If you've been playing Magic at all, you kind of know what this card does. One or more counters would be put on a creature you control. Put that many +1/+1 counters on it instead. Very good for this style of deck. Innkeeper's Talent, same kind of thing. Excuse me. Water. Genghis Frog, this is a new one from the set that I felt would fit the theme pretty well. When it or another mutant you control enters, you create a mutagen token. Mutagens are a new token from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set that, well, add more counters. 1 tap, sacrifice this token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. So there is a little bit of synergy with that, but also the fact that it is a sorcery. You can't just hold on to them and crack them as like a combat trick. Some of the other kind of counter synergies we're going with: Mutagen Man, this thing is insane for this deck. X and 2 green for a 2/3 trample. Activated abilities of your artifact tokens you control cost 1 less to activate. Note how it does not say cannot be reduced lower than 1. This makes all of your mutagen tokens absolutely free, which is absolutely insane. When it enters, you create X mutagen tokens, and kind of reminder text on that. So realistically, say you just have a bunch of mutagen tokens, you could just play double green, play this guy, and just crack your mutagen tokens. You don't have to put anything to X. It's nice for a nice like mana sink if we need it to be, but otherwise it's pretty good. Let's see. High score, another +1/+1 counter thing. Master Biomancer. Now this one isn't a mutant, but it works really well with our deck. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to Master Biomancer's power, and is a mutant in addition to its other types. So with this on the battlefield, all of our creatures are going to enter at minimum with 2 additional counters. So that's just going to keep stacking up and ramping up. We've got a good amount of draw here. Benthic Biomancer, whenever 1 or more counters are put on it, you can draw and discard. We can just do that naturally. Cowabunga's pretty good. Bred for the Hunt. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage, you may draw a card. Ray Fillet, same thing. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals damage, draw a card. Mondo Gecko deals combat damage to a player, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Now, fun thing with this one, well, it looks like you would normally only get 2. You can pay 1, discard a card, and until end of turn, he becomes a color of your choice and gains hexproof. You can choose any color you want. You can choose black, you can choose red, you can choose white, and that now gives you 3 cards. Pretty interesting and pretty fun that way. And then we've got some protection stuff. Heroic Intervention, pretty much the gold standard for that. Saved by the Shell is a new one. Costs 1 less if you control a turtle, which hopefully we do, as that's our commander. And Plaxcaster Frogling. I kind of like this, as you can target a creature with a +1/+1 counter and give it Shroud until end of turn for 2 mana. That's really good for just baseline targeted protection. Of course, we got our normal ramp package here. A lot of the ramp, actually all of the ramp, I went for to be 2 or less. Reason being is we want to play Mikey and Don on turn 3 at the latest. So everything in here is going to either get you a land, be a mana dork, some way to get you to that 4 mana as early as possible. And honestly, Animal Art Attendant here from the Avatar set, specifically the Eternal set, absolutely bonkers for this deck. Add 1 mana of any color. Cool, we like that. If that mana is spent to cast a non-human creature spell, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Guess what? Most of our stuff isn't human. So really cool there. Bit of a recursion engine here with Evolution Witness. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on it, you can return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand. This allows us to, anytime we want to, put counters on him, to recur some of our stuff. Removal, you got your typical blue removal, Fongify, Rapid Hybrid, Reality Shift. The Ooze is a new card that I've been kind of experimenting with in other decks, and I thought it would fit really well into this one. 2 mana colorless artifact. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it leaves the battlefield, create a mutagen. Cool, we like mutagens. And then you can tap it to exile a card from a graveyard. Any graveyard, that includes your opponent's. So you got a nasty Reanimator deck on your other side of the table, exile a card from it. And when you do, you create a mutagen. Pretty solid. I also liked the Colossal Sky Turtle. It's a big chunky, flying boy that's difficult to get rid of because he's got Ward 2, but you can also channel it. Channel is you can pay the cost, discard it, and get the effect. So for 2 and a green, you can return target card from your graveyard to your hand, so again, another recursion, or 1 and a blue, discard it to return target creature to its owner's hand. Now what's cool is you can combo this with the Evolution Witness. You can keep bringing it back. Since we are doing a +1/+1 counter strategy, Wave Goodbye is really great. A lot of our stuff's going to have counters on it. And Raise the Palisade, choose Mutant, bounce everything else. Pretty solid there. We got some Proliferates here, stuff that's going to allow us to just double our counter, or multiply our counters on creatures. And then, how do we win? Well, a couple different ways. We've got Skatewing Spy. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying. Again, most of our board's going to have these, so it's a good way to just get in. Also, it's a mutant. Baxter Fly of the Ointment, same thing. Whenever he enters or attacks, each creature you control with a counter on it gains flying. So you can swing with him as long as he's got a counter on it, which he's going to, and give everything with counters on it flying. How's he going to have a counter? Well, whenever you draw a card, he gets a counter. Pretty easy. And then lastly, Herald of the Secret Streams. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. So again, pretty straightforward. We are going to be going through, hitting them hard, hitting them fast. And then I really wanted to try out Irma in this deck. I think she's pretty good. At the beginning of combat on your turn, she becomes a copy of up to 1 other target creature you control, except her name is Irma, part-time mutant, and she has this ability. Then put a +1/+1 counter on her. So each turn you're just going to choose a different creature. She's going to become a copy of it. And then she gets more counters. She's going to grow. So you can choose to, I don't know, let's pick, well, Mutagen Man. She can become Mutagen Man if we wanted to. Or she could become Michelangelo the Heart. At the beginning of your second main phase, if you attack this turn, +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food. Now you're getting 2 +1/+1 counters and 2 foods. She could become, Mikey Game Master. Beginning end step, if a permanent left the battlefield, it's a +1/+1 counter. Just many ways to, get things bigger. Another really cool synergy piece here is the Cytoplast Rootkin. When it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So he enters in as a 4-mana 4/4 because he has Graft 4. Then after that, he's going to put a +1/+1 counter on everything else. So let's get into a playtest real quick so you guys can kind of see how that works. And then I'll go through the maybe board here. These are cards that are a little more expensive that I didn't want to throw in automatically, but figured would be worth investment if you've got them around or if you want to kind of take this deck to the next level. So let's go in the playtester. All right, taking a look here. This is our opening hand. Honestly, not a great hand. Way too much land. I mean, we got some ramp, we got some draw, we got, a removal. There's not a whole lot of action here, but that's not bad. Let's kind of play with it and see what happens. So we'll start out, we'll ding ourselves for 2. And we're going to start with the Master Biomancer, or the Benthic Biomancer. Why? Because, again, we wanted to kind of get that draw engine going. Oh, forgot to draw my card for the turn, so there we go. We drew it. All right, we'll go to the next turn. All right, Sky Turtle, not something we really want. That's okay. We're going to go like this. We're going to Nature's Lore. And let's see, Nature's Lore gets us a forest. What are we going to get? Where's the one I want? Maybe I didn't put it in for... Oh, no, I did. Here we go. So we're going to play this card. Perfect. And so Graveyard. That Hedge Maze allows us to surveil 1, so we'll look at the top card of our library. Ray Fillet. Kind of a decent card for us to keep, so we'll keep that there. And we'll draw. Now, next turn, what are we going to do? Yep, we're going to play Mikey. We're going to get them out. Again, turn 3, exactly as we planned on. We can look at the top card of our library. Oh, it's not a mutant that we can play. No big deal. Turn 4, and now's when we really start, going hog wild. Now, great with Mikey and Don is you can play lands as well. So let's say the top card of our deck is a land. It's not. Okay, so that's fine. It's Michelangelo. Cool. Well, we have lands in hand, but we also have enough that we can play this. So let's go ahead and we'll play it. Cool. So then this is the Mikey that says, beginning end step, if a permanent left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay, well, Mikey and Don put him into play, so we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on him. All right, let's look at the top card of our library. Hey, look at that. It's a land, so I guess we're going to play it. Yeah, it comes into play tapped, but we just got a free land out of this deal. Look at the next one. It's another land. Okay, well, we can't do anything with that. No big deal. We'll play Soul Ring. We'll get that out. Okay, and you can kind of see how this allows you to manipulate that top deck and continue forward. So we're going to look again. All right, Inspiring Call. Can't really do anything with that. That's all right. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to get a +1/+1 counter on you if we can. So that'd be great. What's a way that we can do that? Well, here's another way we can kind of just draw cards if we want to. So why don't we start with that? We'll play Ray. Okay. And then, you know what? We're going to adapt. We're going to add a counter to you, draw, and discard. Okay. Look at the top card of our library again. It's a land. All right. Well, we didn't play a land this turn, so let's play that. And let's look again. Pongify. All right. Not the greatest. We're kind of bricking out here a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world. We do have contingencies for this. Like Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter. They gain indestructible. So, okay. I mean, that's only going to be 2 right now. But, let's say we swing in. And one of them gets in. So we at least draw 1 card. We'll go to main phase 2. Okay, high score, another card that we can't really do much with. But, you know, this is kind of the normal gameplay. You're going to be manipulating the top of your deck. You're going to be doing stuff like this. So that way you can get more creatures. Again, that wasn't the greatest hand because of, like I mentioned before, it's kind of slow. It's going to be kind of one of those things where it didn't have a whole lot of action. Now this one could be good. You know, incubation druid's pretty decent. You know, because it's a mana rock again, essentially what we want. So let's take a look at this one. So we're gonna start. We'll breeding pool because we want that tapped. All right. So all right, turn 2. Play the snarl. We'll review the island, and you know, rather than getting the creature out, let's go search for a forest quick. Okay? Rather thin the deck in this instance. Again, we're using the 2 mana dorks to be able to continue our plan to be able to hit these things on a regular basis. But we're going to grab the hedge maze again. We're going to play that tapped. We're going to shuffle our library. We're going to look at the top card. Oh look, it's a mutant. All right. So do we want to keep that? Yeah, I'd want to keep that. That's actually a pretty decent card. So all right. Turn 3 again, almost as if on clockwork. We're going to play him again. Boom, just like that. Now look, it's land. We can't play it right now, but now we know that it's there. We can kind of plan out our next turn. Turn 4, all right, boom, we drew a land. We knew that. Rampant growth, we can't really play that. Okay, not the end of the world. So let's get some other stuff going here. Let's see, what do we got? We've got Venus. Whenever she is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on her. Could be good. You know, it'd also be really good. What if we kind of continued to set up? You know, we've got high score here. If 1 or more counters we put on a creature you control, that many +1. End step, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power in the battlefield. Seems pretty good to me. So let's start with high score. We'll get that out. You know, again, we're doing some setup. We don't have a good plan right now. That's okay. And we'll put the Skydiver out. Skydiver's going to put a +1/+1 counter on Mikey, and we're going to keep going. So that's going to actually give him 2. So now we got a 5/5 in play. Not bad for you know, turn 4. We'll swing. Let's say we've got the strongest. We'll draw a card. Okay, cool. Another land, no big deal. Go to next turn. Do it again. Okay, turtle. Turtle's not bad. Let's see what we can do with that. So turtle's really not going to do as much good because we're going to need 7 mana to play it, which we're a little shy. Not the biggest deal. So what are we going to do? Well, we'll rampant growth. Let's go search for a basic land. Okay. We'll grab this. Interest tap, that's okay. Shuffle our library a few times. And look at the top. Okay, well now we got a mutant. Not a mutant we can play right now, but that's not a bad thing either. Kind of wish that we could, just because, you know, it would keep us going. But that's the general idea of the deck, is that we're never out of options. We can do stuff. We're gonna ramp hard, we're gonna ramp fast, and we're gonna have fun doing it. Now, what are some money picks, some things that might be a little more pricey that we need work on? Sense's Divining Top, great card. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. That's exactly the type of thing we need. We have Brainstorm in here. What if we had Brainstorm every turn? That way we're not running out of options. Cool. The Ozolith. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. Beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may remove all counters from it and put them onto a creature. You know, these will trigger all of our +1/+1 counter enablers as well. Those effects are all going to kick in and do things. Next, Biophages. This one is definitely a must. If you can only afford so much for this deck, I would highly recommend that this is one of them that we get. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. It's a 2 mana dork, exactly what we want. This mana is spent to cast a creature spell. That creature enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is exactly what we want. Yeah, it's not a mutant, but at the end of the day, we're not looking to... Our early game creatures aren't necessarily all going to be mutants. A lot of them are elves. This is going to be something that I very much recommend. If you want to lean heavier into the +1/+1 counter theme, or more of a landfall theme, Bristly Bill. Bristly Bill's great. I mean, who doesn't like this cactus druid thing? Whenever it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then you can double it. It's a good finisher. There's a reason it has that price tag. And lastly, the Great Henge. What do I need to say about this? It's a card draw. It puts +1/+1 counters. It's a mana rock. Like, this does everything for us. Like, I would recommend it. The price tag's a little high for my liking, but it is kind of how things work. So if you are interested in taking a deeper look at this deck, the link will be in the video description below. And otherwise, I hope you all enjoyed this brief Commander's Corner. And until next time, my name is Rob. I like to play games, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care, everybody.